Greetings, all you samurai out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with another chapter review of Samurai 8. This time it's chapter 19, titled At Any Cost. And we actually get to see a little bit of the battle planet where the big event is about to go down. We see a large satellite orbiting a planet, and inside we see a large man with a what looks to be a holder with massive bull horns entering a room full of samurai keys. And he seems to be, part of the upcoming event, as he seems to be ready to, pick a fight and take a key in the next event. Meanwhile, Dharma is actually, orbiting the bit of the planet for the most. Well, they're getting ready. They're still heading out. They're still traveling, and Katsugu is pleading for him and Ryu to be released. And Dharma ultimately decides to comply with this, but in order to actually find out a little bit more information on the coordinates of planet Kenka, where the massive event is taking place. And Katsugu notices that Ryu's restraints are left on, but he doesn't want to have any kind of situation arise between the two of them. But ultimately Katsugu manages to convince Dharma in the fact that Ryu doesn't really have any memories or anything like that. He's a little bit harmless unless being told directly otherwise. But, Dharma starts to kind of try to study some of the data he's gotten from the fight with Ryu. And, he remembers Ryu fusing samurai souls together. And it seems to give him a bit of an idea of who Ryu actually is. And while he does try to ask Ryu directly, it's like talking to a wall. Ryu doesn't remember anything, so he's not going to get anything. But Dharma kind of thinks that Ryu is joking. But, Katsuga explains, like, this guy's an amnesiac. He found him wandering the planet. While he seems like he's just kidding about everything, he really just cannot remember anything, no matter what. And Shimaru then comes into the room asking for a training session, and Kastugu starts berating us like, this guy is weak, this guy is nothing, which is like, dude, you're one to talk, you don't even have any actual power. But he starts talking down to Hachimaru, and Anne starts to kind of, throw a few comebacks, and it's just like, he's a lot stronger than he thinks, and blah, blah, blah. And I love Anne in this situation. I love the fact that she's supporting her man. It's just like, don't you insult my man like that. But Kasugu then says, it's just like, well, he does recognize her as a princess and says, you made a lousy choice for a samurai, and starts flirting with her, but she completely brushes him off. And Dharma wants to have Ryu train with Hachimaru in terms of practice in order to kind of get them to actually at least show their worthiness. And Hachimaru wants to use this as an opportunity to try to slowly surpass Ada at some point. So the grand ruse for the duel is that it's only between Hachimaru and Ryu. Points will be awarded for any kind of contact with the blade, and the one with the most points wins. The turtle holders AI will serve as the judge, and Hashimaru's just like, okay, so we're gonna make a clean fight, and Ryu just takes it as it means that he can fight as he normally does, and Anne and Hayataro are all hyped to get in with, Hachimaru in terms of the battle, but, since Ryu doesn't have a holder of his own or a princess praying for him, Hachimaru says, okay, we want this to be an even fight. which they agree with reluctantly. And honestly, I'm really in loving Anne's enthusiasm in terms of this. Like, she really does want to support Hachimaru, and I do appreciate that for the most part. But as the round begins, Hachimaru starts to try to think of how to move, and Ryu just stabs him right in the head, scoring the first point. And of course Ryu's Kisugu is unimpressed by the display, and he starts flirting with Anne, continuing on. So Hachimaru tries to think of how to adjust for Ryu's speed, but and, after asking Ryu to remove the blade from his head. But then the second round goes, and Ryu once again wins easily, cutting off Hachimaru's arm. And Han starts to get worried. Katsuga's getting bored. But Ryu does actually notice that Hachimaru is starting to notice that Hachimaru reattaches his arm fairly quickly, and that regenerative ability all ties into the spirit and the soul of the samurai. So it shows that Hachimaru, he still has that passion, he still has that drive. He's not discouraged or anything like that. So as the duel continues, Hachimaru is just racking up the losses, but he's persisting no matter what. And after the 31st time losing, Katsuga's just like tearing into it. It's just like, oh man, you just keep falling for the same tricks. And Dharma tries to give some advice, but Hachimaru says he wants to solve the problem for himself, because that's part of his training, which is admirable. And Hachimaru actually does start to begin a little bit of the fighting style. Just took him 31 tries to finally get around to it. But he decides to start switching things up for the most part. So Ryu decides to switch things up after he notices that Hachimaru is starting to catch on for the most part. So he pulls out his second samurai soul. And Hachimaru says that he'll have to relearn everything that Ryu does from scratch now that he's switching things up. So he waits for his latest cuts to heal, and he starts to get nostalgic, remembering all the times he fought with Nanashi. Ah, man, I miss Nanashi. And he starts to kind of visualize himself in the gaming realm. The test that Dharma had sent out to test various different samurai, which is unfortunate that, Dharma didn't know of Nanashi. It's just like Nanashi was second best. If you just got everyone who was like, top tier, second tier, third tier, and so on and so forth, you probably would have had a good roster of people. But, as the round begins, Hachimaru actually does manage to anticipate how Ryu will extend his blade to strike from a distance. And although he's proven right, he loses for the 32nd time, because he underestimated how far the blade could actually extend. And so, as he continues to try to strategize and all that, and ignores Katsugo and his jerkish ways and tries to cheer on Hachimaru. And Hachimaru considers tossing his sword to Ryu for the reach, but it's just like, he knows that his blade not come back before Ryu actually manages to get that strike in. So as the 33rd round starts off, Hachimaru goes for a specific plan, and he goes in for a heavy swing. Ryu knows that it won't reach him in time. Hachimaru then shocks everyone because he unsheaths his regular katana, slicing off the hand that has his sword in it, and sends it flying at Ryu, which Katsuga's just like, what the hell? But it's just like, well, we heal, so why not? It's just a good point, but in real battle, I don't know how well this would work out. And he actually does manage to catch that Ryu's blade is about to extend fast enough to cut him in the head to make it his loss. So Hachimaru then extends his swing with the regular katana and cuts off his own head in order to prevent Ryu from cutting him. And Hachimaru's blade flies past Ryu, cutting his cheek, sporing him that point. And as his head is rolling around on the floor, the turtle AI holder grants Hachimaru the point, and he celebrates the small victory, although he notes that he's in a lot of pain because of it, that he's taking that step to doing whatever it takes to win in whatever situation he can. So I guess that counts for something. But man, what a wild decision. What a wild way of going about that. So it's like in a normal battle, like, dude, that probably won't fly, but sometimes it's those who think outside the box who actually end up having the greatest victories of all. And that at least shows that Hachimaru is starting to put himself in that greater mindset. He started to think more about how to win, which was the whole basis behind that game, that simulation that Dharma sent out. Just how various different warriors would think outside the box, just honing their skills and showing what they're truly made of. So it's something, it's fairly interesting, it's a wild idea, and this whole manga feels very Deadpool-esque because of the way that the various samurais are able to just heal themselves, although we'll come to find out there's a little bit of a deeper meaning behind their healing and all that good stuff. But an interesting enough chapter. Not the best, not the most bombastic or fascinating, but it just shows that Hachimaru is continuing to rise through the ranks. We've got couple new allies now for the most part. So it'll be interesting to find out what the whole thing is with Ryu, because he's definitely someone important, but this series likes to keep its secrets in weird and interesting places, so we'll just have to wait and see where things go from here on out. But tell me your thoughts, feelings, and theories in the comment section below. If you liked this video, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me what I did wrong in the comment section below. Subscribe and hit the bell icon, that way you never miss out on another Samurai 8 chapter review. And until the next video, just remember that achieve victory, achieve your goals, move forward, whatever it takes. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din. You can find me on social media by Googling that name, Duuz-Diz-Din. Just be careful of what you might find. And until the next video, I'm going to bed. Bye-bye.